Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Monday Night Momentum. This is Don Thompson, and tonight we are going to be talking about how to just be more effective and efficient when it comes to writing LegalShield memberships. And for the purpose of today's presentation, we're going to be talking about prospecting, presenting, closing, and retaining your members. And we're really going to be focused on the networking side. In other words, how to sit down with one person, one-on-one, how to find that person, how to present in a great way that's going to help you write more memberships, and then how to have a high retention by retaining the majority of those memberships as well. So hopefully out of today's training, you'll get a lot of great nuggets that allow you to really increase your LegalShield business and really increase the number of people that you're able to talk to as well. So when we talk about prospecting, I think the first thing that most people really want to know is, where do I find people to talk to them about LegalShield? Once I've sat down and I've made my list and I've gone through and I've talked to a lot of people that I know, where do I continue to find people? And so let's talk about prospecting. And of course, the first place that you are going to start is by writing down your list, your warm market. Now, I want to really think about warm market maybe differently than you're thinking about warm market, because I know most of the time when we think about warm market, we're thinking about our family and our friends and people that we know. And certainly that is your warm market. You want to write down the memory jogger. Who's your family members? Who's your friends? Who's your coworkers? Who did you go to college with? Who do you coach with? All of those people. But also take warm market one step further. In other words, maybe you're talking to your brother about LegalShield, and they don't become an associate, but they also have a huge warm market that you could be tapping into. So by talking to that relative or someone that's close to you, you could simply say, listen, I'm really expanding my list of people I want to talk to about LegalShield, ID Shield. I know you know a lot of people. I'd love to sit down with you, and maybe you could give me some referrals, some people that you know that I could talk to. And I'm not just talking about 2 or 3 referrals, but really opening up their phone to allow you to know who are the people that they do business with, the people that they know that you could share this membership with as well. Think about it in these terms. If you opened up your phone right now, you probably have well over 100 contacts in your phone. And if every one of those 100 people gave you just 5 people that you could talk to, that would now be 500 prospects that you could talk to about this membership. So warm market is a big, big way to get new prospects with LegalShield. Of course, also networking. And I'm not talking about network marketing for the terms of what we're talking about here with prospecting. I'm talking about networking. And that means, where can you find people that you can share the membership with? Maybe there's a club in your hometown. I know locally there's a chamber of commerce not too far from where I live, and I live on a pretty small island, and it takes in about 5 or 6 of the islands around here. And it's only about 1,500 businesses or so. So it's really intimate, and it's somewhere that I can go and talk to people and really network with those people about LegalShield. So where can you go to network? Maybe there's events like that. Maybe there's business card exchanges, associations, places that you can go to network. Another great way to network is just volunteering. I know, for example, this weekend, I volunteered at my son's graduation. They had an after event, and there were a lot of parents all night long hanging out doing this after event for graduation. But by putting myself out there, I was able to network with a lot of those parents, because we had a lot of downtime just sitting around talking about what do you do, and found out there's a lot of business owners there among the parents. And it was just a great, very informal way for me to get out there and meet new people. So warm market, of course, is big, but also just networking and just putting yourself out there to meet new people all the time, and so you can share with them about this incredible membership and really about what you do. Of course, follow your dollar is also huge, because when you're spending money with other people, I certainly don't think that they owe it to you to buy a membership from you just because you spent money with them, but really they should be open at least listening to what you do. I bought a boat about a year ago from a gentleman, and I asked him to have lunch with me. I said, let's have lunch and let's talk about what it is that I do, because I'd love to share with you, because you may or may not be interested. But at least by knowing what I do, you could maybe be a great referral source for me as well. And he said, absolutely. Why would he say that? Because I just spent a lot of money on a boat. I'm sure he made a great commission, and it's a great time for me to ask him to get together to share what I do. I have 2 air conditioners in my house, and my units in my house, and one of the air conditioners recently had its last day. And so we had the gentleman come out from the AC company, happened to be the owner of the company. And so while they're going to come in and install a new air conditioning unit for me, which is several $1,000s, I took the opportunity to share with him what I do about LegalShield. And he said, wow, he says, I think I want to go ahead and get the small business plan. I want the family plan for me and my wife. And then, yes, you can come in and talk to my 10 employees as well. And so it's a great way to really follow your dollar when you're spending money with other people. Again, I'm not saying go out and spend money in order so you can have prospects, but when you are spending money, take that opportunity to share with them what you do or make an appointment with them to come back. In his case, I'm going to meet with him and his wife at his office next week because he wanted his wife to hear all about the different options so they could make that decision together. But he was definitely excited to at least participate in the membership through Follow Your Dollar. Also, the 3-foot rule. Just everyone that you're around, constantly be talking to people. When you see that opportunity to just smile at somebody and say, hey, how are you? By the way, what do you do? And when you start those kind of conversations, what you're going to find is they're going to come back to you and say, well, what do you do? And it's going to give you a great opportunity for you to share about the membership as well. And then finally, I mentioned this one earlier, but referrals. In other words, really asking people, who can you share this membership with? One of the greatest sources of new members are your existing happy members. I think one of the mistakes that we make in LegalShield is that since we are trying to recruit everybody, and that's not the mistake, by the way, we should be trying to share the opportunity with everyone, but since we're trying to recruit everyone, we assume that, well, I'm going to recruit this person in the business, and then obviously they're going to make their list, and then I'll help them talk to those people. The problem becomes when we don't recruit them in the business for whatever reason, we also don't get referrals from that person, and so we're not maximizing the relationship that we have with that member. And so what I like to do is, whether I'm talking to them about the opportunity or not, I like to get referrals right then and there. Because if I do recruit them in the business, then I've already started their list that we can talk to about the membership. And if they don't become an associate, well, then I've got a great referral list that I can be talking to about the membership as well. And sometimes if you go out and start enrolling a few of their members, they get a few of their referrals as members, they're more interested in the opportunity because they're seeing lost money go out the window. So definitely get referrals from everyone that you can and talk to. So hopefully this helps you understand a little bit more about how to develop your list, how to expand your list, how to follow your dollar, talk to the people around you, and of course, get referrals from everyone that you talk to. Now, once you've actually gotten that appointment, once you've actually used that referral to get in the door and set that time, now it's time to do the presentation. And how do we do an effective presentation when it comes to the membership? Well, first of all, with the membership, just like the opportunity, you want to use the tools. Prospect by LegalShield has so many great tools about the membership on there. There's membership tools where you can actually send them an 11-minute video on the entire legal and identity theft plan membership presentation. It's about 11 minutes long. There's short videos that you can use. There's testimonial videos on how people have used the membership. There's all kinds of great tools that you can use through Prospect by LegalShield. There's also LegalShield On Demand. When you go into your associate-only back office and you click on the button that says Documents, it's going to take you to LegalShield On Demand, where you can get a lot of customized brochures on the identity theft plan, customized brochures on the legal plan. You can put your name, your website, your email address, all of the information they need to go ahead and get enrolled right there, customize that, save it as a PDF, and now you've got, anytime that you need, you've got your own personalized membership brochure that you can use. So definitely go on to your associate-only back office, click on the Documents link, go to LegalShield On Demand, and personalize some of those documents. Now, I will give you one word of warning, and that is there's so many great things back there. You don't need 20 different brochures in order to enroll the legal plan. I like to use something very basic, a legal plan brochure, an ID Shield plan brochure, perhaps something how to activate those so you can download the apps, those instructions, but keep it very simple. But you have all those tools back there for you to do an effective membership presentation. Also, we have membership calls. Right now, we happen to have every night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time, the opportunity for you to actually plug your guest into a live call, where one of the top presenters in the company will actually do a presentation on how to go ahead and what the membership's all about, really to present on the legal plan, present on identity theft, and help you enroll that new prospect as a member. And don't forget, three-way calls are not just for the opportunity. Three-way calls also are very valuable in presenting the membership. So when you're out there and you're talking to a prospect, a lot of times what will happen is they'll ask you questions. They'll say, well, how would this work in this situation? How would this work in that situation? And you may or may not know the answer, but you know someone who knows the answer. So don't hesitate at all, and don't be shy to go ahead and say, well, give me 1 second. Actually, that's a great question. I want to go ahead and get that answer for you right now. I'm going to go ahead and call someone that I know that is an expert that really understands a lot about the membership and perhaps has already had this question asked. 1 second, three-way that individual onto the call and let that person answer that question, because then they can also possibly answer a few other questions that will help that prospect feel really comfortable in becoming a member with LegalShield. The other thing I want to talk about today is the sit-down presentation. To me, when it comes to enrolling a LegalShield membership, there's nothing that beats sitting down with that prospect one-on-one and actually doing a presentation. Now, when we say doing a presentation, that could be several different things. That could be you sitting down with your app and actually walking them through the app. That's a presentation. And you can go ahead and get them enrolled right then and there on your phone. When we say sitting down and doing a presentation, that could be taking out your iPad and flipping through the LegalShield presentation that you can download in your associate-only back office, flipping through the presentation, and then when they're ready, logging right on to your website and getting them enrolled as a member. Or when we say doing a sit-down presentation, it could be as old-fashioned as taking out a brochure, a flip book, and going through the information. So when we say sit down, it doesn't matter how you do the presentation. We're just talking about it's the face-to-face interaction with that prospect that's going to make a big difference on you getting more members enrolled. I believe in technology as a great tool to help us get the information out there. So technology plays a huge role, but you're going to have a much bigger closing rate and enroll a lot more members if you can actually get in front of more people. And so let's talk about why that's important and some of the tips when you do a sit-down presentation. First of all, look at the word presentation. In itself, what does that mean? It means that you are going to present information. So many times I'll talk to associates and they'll say, hey, I talked to 10 people last week, but none of them were interested in the membership. And I say, when you talked to 10 people last week, what do you mean by I talked to 10 people? Did you do 10, 15-minute presentations, or did you just talk to 10 people about the membership? And generally speaking, they're going to say, well, I just talked to 10 people about the membership. And that's why they didn't have anybody get started as a member, because they didn't do a presentation. When you're talking to someone about LegalShield, what you're giving them is the 30 or 60-second commercial that's going to get them to look at a presentation. Now, a presentation could be a sit-down presentation. A presentation could be you sending them the full 11-minute presentation through Prospect by LegalShield. A presentation could be you sending them the member app and then walking them through the app to show them how to use it. But you're doing an actual presentation. So don't just share LegalShield with people, present LegalShield. Now, what's the difference? Well, first of all, when you present LegalShield by doing a presentation, you're going to ask for 15 minutes. So you have their undivided attention for 15 minutes. They understand that it's going to take 15 minutes for you to fully show. You can't do this membership justice in 2 minutes or 30 seconds or passing, just passing by. It's 15 minutes is enough time to do a great job explaining the membership, answering questions, and then helping them go ahead to get started as a LegalShield or ID Shield member. The other part of doing a presentation is you're going to control the environment. When we say control the environment, what we mean is that the world is full of distractions. And so many times you don't know if you have their full attention. But if you're doing a presentation, you can control the environment. Many times I'll walk in, and let's say I'm meeting a referral at their home. If the TV's on, I don't hesitate to say, hey, do you mind if we turn the TV off for 15 minutes so that I can show you exactly how this membership works? Or even saying, hey, do you mind if we sit over here at your kitchen table so I can take out my iPad and do the presentation that way? So I want to control the environment. If I'm walking into a small business, I might say, hey, it looks like you're really busy up front here. Is there anybody that could take over for you at the front desk? I could go maybe in your back office with you. It's only going to take about 15 minutes. And you'll be surprised. Most of the time, they'll say, oh, yeah, we can do that. And so now you've controlled the environment. So control the environment so you're in a situation where you have their undivided attention, and it allows you to really explain and demonstrate how this membership can help them. Use a professional presentation. What do we mean by that? Is that LegalShield has so many great tools that you can use. So use professional tools. In other words, make sure they download the member app and show them how to access the member app. Walk them through your website and show them how easily it is to navigate and enroll right through your website. When you're using LegalShield on-demand tools, make sure you're using first-generation copies, not copies of copies, not poor copies, not draft copies. Go ahead and make some really professional copies that you can go ahead and show exactly what LegalShield's all about, and it looks crisp and it looks clean, because remember, you don't get a second chance to make a first impression. And while they can't see our attorneys when you're presenting to them, everything that you're showing them and demonstrating to them is really speaking to our brand. And they're making a decision on the quality of our law firms and the quality of our company based on what you're showing them. So make sure it's professional. Ask for that 15 minutes. And then while you're doing the presentation, ask questions, tell stories. So one of the things I love to do when I'm doing a presentation is I want to make sure it's interactive with the other person. So if you find that your presentation is basically you talking at them for 15 minutes, then you need to evaluate your presentation. So if I'm talking to them, for example, about, hey, one of the great things about our membership is that you have access to be able to call an attorney whenever you have a legal situation. Let me ask you a question, Mary. Have you ever just had a situation where you were just treated unfairly and you just thought, oh my gosh, this is just not fair. I need to do something about that. Has that ever happened to you? And then stop talking and let them answer. You'd be surprised. They might say, oh, actually, I have a situation going on right now with my landlord, or I have a situation going on right now with my neighbor, and they'll start elaborating on things and say, oh, I'm really glad you brought that up, because that's something we can definitely help with right away with LegalShield. I'm going to show you how to download the member app and how easy it is to pick up the phone and contact your attorney to start getting help with that situation. You might ask questions like, now, I would not do this in a group of 30, but I would do this if I was one-on-one with somebody. I might ask a question like, let me ask you a question, Mary. I know you have 2 kids, and I know that you're right now you're a single mom and things like that. Have you ever thought about, when's the last time you updated your will and your living will and your healthcare directive, things like that? And what you'll find is they're probably going to say, oh, I haven't done that. I need to do that, things like that. Hey, it's okay. I totally understand. Most of the people I talk to are in the same situation. As a matter of fact, I was in the same situation when I became a member. But this is what you're going to find, is that one of the great parts of our membership is this is something we can help you with right away. So you're asking lots of questions. If you get a lot of little yeses throughout the presentation, it's going to be a whole lot easier for you to go right into go ahead and enrolling them at the end of the presentation. Instead of trying to get one big yes at the end, try to get 5 or 6 small yeses throughout the entire presentation. Make sure you tell stories. And stories, to me, facts tell, but stories sell. People love to hear stories. Now, when we say tell stories, make sure you're telling short stories. They don't need the 10-minute version of the story. They need the 30-second to 1-minute version of the story. So if you have some great LegalShield stories that you think really help speak to the value that LegalShield provides, make sure that you're telling those stories quickly, but you're also powerfully. So in other words, you might even want to type them out, on your computer, like write them out and practice them a few times to get all the unnecessary details out of the story, so you can get it down to a 30-second, 60-second story that delivers the message and is very powerful. So when someone says, oh yeah, I've had a situation with my landlord, I can say, well, it's so interesting you bring that up, because actually one of the things I used my LegalShield membership for was I had a situation with my landlord about 2 years ago where I wasn't getting a security deposit back. They owed me over $1,000. They would not return it, but I had LegalShield write a letter to them, and about 11 days later, I got the full $1,000 I was owed, all because of my LegalShield membership. Now, what does that do? That's a powerful story that speaks to the member and says, oh, this can help me. If it helped them, it can help me. It was also very short, so I could continue my presentation, still finishing in 15 minutes. So make sure you tell lots of stories. And if you're new, make sure you're listening to all of these stories. So now you can say, actually, I have a friend of mine who had a situation where they were owed $1,000, and tell my story. So that's one of the reasons you go to business briefings and presentations, because you hear lots of stories that you can adapt and make part of your presentation. So when you look at the value of what we provide, we have all of the different services: personal legal advice, letters and phone calls, contract and document review, IRS audit assistance, civil trial defense, family domestic services. I'm going to spend the majority of my time on the first 3 areas here: personal legal advice, letters and phone calls on our behalf, contract and document, because those are areas that apply to everybody. Everybody has had situations where they've been treated unfairly. Everyone's had a situation where a letter or phone call could help on their behalf. Everyone has signed a contract or document. When you look at the LegalShield value of the LegalShield membership and the value we provide, yes, does IRS audit assistance, is it phenomenal, assistance if you need it? Yes, it is. But do people enroll as a LegalShield member because they can have IRS audit assistance? Probably not. And so we want to make sure that we're covering the membership, but we don't want to just cover it equally. In other words, I'm not going to spend the equal amount of time on civil trial defense as I'm going to spend on letters and phone calls made on our behalf. Because while some people don't see themselves getting sued, everyone's been in a situation where maybe a letter could have helped them. This is why it's also important to ask questions and find out information, because if you find out that somebody's going to be going through an adoption or maybe is going through a divorce, things like that, then you might want to spend a little bit more time on family domestic services, explaining how we can help with those situations. Of course, we also have the access to the moving traffic violations. And I actually like to take out my phone and show them how they can actually snap a picture of their ticket right there. And I always kind of, I'll jokingly say things like, now, I'm not saying that you've ever been, caught, with a moving traffic violation. I'm not even going to ask you how many you've ever had, but let me ask you this: have you ever deserved one? And I kind of jokingly say that, and they'll start laughing. And usually, what they'll say is, "Yeah, I haven't had one in a few years, but I've deserved it." Or they'll kind of like nudge each other because they just got one recently. But I'll talk to that and how we can help with those situations as well. And then I'll also show them on their phone, hey, look how easy it is to go ahead and prepare your will, your living will, your healthcare power of attorney, your durable power of attorney. I'll show them right on my smartphone. So again, even when I'm using a brochure or I'm using my iPad to do the presentation and showing them this portion or this area, I'm still taking out my phone, having it on my own member app, and using my phone as a selling tool to show them how easy it is to access all of these different areas and get your will started. Now, depending on who I'm talking to, if they're a little older, I might say, hey, you can use your app, you can go on our website, or you can still download our form and send it into our law firm, whatever is most convenient to you. Depending on who I'm talking to and how savvy they are in technology, I'll probably talk to them a little differently about how they can do that, but I'm always showing them my app and how easy it is to use, showing them the 24/7 emergency button, and then talking to them about the discount. And I don't just brush over the discount and say, by the way, you'll get a discount on everything else, because you'll be surprised how much money our members can actually save just through the preferred member discount. So this is a big deal. This is an area you want to say, by the way, everything's covered by your LegalShield membership. It's either covered 100% for all the things I just talked about, or worst case scenario, it's going to be under a preferred member discount. And I have seen our members save hundreds and even thousands of dollars just on this one area of loan, because when you're getting a discount on an attorney's rate, and you know how expensive attorneys can be, that can be a big savings for your family, even if it's something that's covered under our discounted area. Of course, I already know through talking to them how many children they have, if they have any kids in college, things like that. So I'll easily be able to talk to them about who's covered by their membership. And then I'll start talking to them about identity theft. And remember, you're doing a 15-minute presentation on legal and identity theft. And if they have lots of questions and things like that, don't feel rushed. If they're into the presentation and things are going well, they might have questions as they go. So if it goes to 20 minutes, that's okay. But if you're going past that, you're probably going too deep or talking about certain things too much. And you can also get to the point where you start losing them if you're going too deep and too much in certain areas. So you want to keep the presentation interesting, interactive, but also keep it condensed to 15 to 20 minutes. Now, when we talk about identity theft, I want to make sure they understand what identity theft really is. And it's not just credit fraud and things like that, that there's different forms of identity theft. And I really want them to understand that identity theft, can be about their credit, about their driver's license fraud, medical ID, and so forth. And that's why it's so important that we monitor every area. And so this is why it's important that you have something in front of you that's showing them the information. This slide right here, for example, if you're using the PDF that you can download in your associate-only back office, maybe you make a little flip book out of like 10 or 15 slides in there so you can easily go through and show these kind of slides. Maybe you're using your iPad or your laptop. That's what I usually do. I take in my laptop with the presentation. I can go through the slides I want, or I take in my iPad and I can easily scroll through. Even if you're using your phone to do the member app, you want to make sure you're showing them that we're going to monitor their credit score, their social security number, their passport, their driver's license, medical ID, emails, loans, all of these different areas. As a matter of fact, when I'm using the ID Shield flat sheet, I like to turn it over and show them all the different things that we monitor. So it's so comprehensive. It shows you all the things that we monitor on there. And then really talking about ID Shield Vault as a password manager and how that works. And you might be saying, well, I'm not sure how ID Shield Vault works. Well, maybe one of the best ways to find out is to make sure you're using ID Shield Vault as your password manager so that you can easily talk about it when you're sitting down with someone. And then also comprehensive restoration, really helping them understand what the licensed private investigators are going to do with the $5 million service guarantee, that whatever it takes for as long as it takes, they're going to help you restore your identity to its pre-theft status. So doing an effective presentation. And then, of course, sharing with them, how much the membership is. On the family side, $24.95 for the legal plan, $24.95 for ID Shield, total of $49.90. Individually, $24.95 for LegalShield, $9.95 for ID Shield. And so really helping them understand and what is the best value for them. And I also don't like to oversell. Whatever they're ready to go ahead and enroll in, let's get them enrolled. So if they look at me and they say, well, you know what, I think that right now, I think the legal plan is what I really am most interested in. I'll say, well, great. Let's go ahead and let's get you enrolled in LegalShield. It's $24.95. And then later on, we'll follow up. And if you decide to add ID Shield later, we can certainly do that. And if that's what they're comfortable with and that's within their budget, then even though my commission may be half as much, if I keep that member for the next 10 years, that's going to pay out a lot more. And my retention is going to be a lot higher in the long run. Plus, it's better for the member. So I'm going to sell them what they're ready to buy. If they say, you know what, the legal side right now, it sounds interesting, but right now, identity theft. Now, that's something I'm really interested in because I've got a program right now and I'm already spending money on it. And, I had a brother that was a victim of identity theft. They go into this, then go ahead and get them enrolled in the ID Shield family plan. So go ahead and meet them where they're at, because this is not a one and done. You're going to come back, you're going to follow up, and you'll have opportunities later to go ahead and upgrade them to the legal plan or ID Shield plan. Of course, if they're ready to go ahead and do everything right now for $49.90 because it's such tremendous value, you can get them enrolled that way as well. But of course, we have the different riders with the home business supplement and the extra trial defense, things like that. Those are all things you can always revisit at a later time if they feel they want some more coverage on those areas. So a few tips as we talk about retention and how to go ahead and do a great job on the membership. Number one, we talked about it, but don't oversell the membership. The legal plan is $24.95. It's less than $1 a day. I have myself covered, my wife covered, my son who's at Florida State University, 6 hours away covered, my other son who's going to be going to Notre Dame, again, 1,300 miles away from home, covered by the membership. There's 4 of us covered by the membership, less than $1 a day to have access to our legal rights, have access to all the services. We don't have to oversell the membership. If you just tell people exactly what it does and how it works, you're going to enroll just as many members and they're going to be very satisfied with the membership. Number 2, keep your stories short and relevant. And so I see people that are great storytellers a lot of times, but they just maybe sometimes go a little too long in telling the story. So there's a lot of details they don't need to know. And so go ahead and just make that story as short as possible and make it relevant so you can get more stories in. Number 3 is answer questions with a testimonial. So for example, if somebody says, well, let me ask you this, how would they help me with child custody? I have a situation going on right now, and how would they help me? Now, the short answer is, well, that would be covered under the 25% discount. So you could use the membership. You could contact a law firm. They could, after speaking with the attorney, they could get you an attorney that could help you with that situation under the 25% discount. That would be the short answer. However, a more effective answer to enrolling a new member would be something like, say, well, I'm glad you asked that question. That would be covered under our 25% discount. But let me tell you a quick story. I actually have a member of mine that was going through a similar situation, and she had paid an attorney, actually several attorneys, a lot of money to go ahead and help her with that, and she was no better off 2 years later than when she had started. So she went ahead and enrolled as a LegalShield membership. Our attorney was able to help her. She did pay additional under the 25% discount, but she saved a significant amount of money. But most importantly is that she was able to get a lot of the things done with her son that she was looking to do. So we can certainly help you with that situation. And just like we helped her, I know we can help you with that. What that's going to do is that's going to answer the question. Yes, I'm going to have to pay additional. It's going to be under the 25% discount. But at the same time, the most important thing is the members understanding we can help them with that situation. So we're answering the question with a testimonial to help them know that if we can help one person, we can help others. So testimonials are a great way to answer questions. And the other thing is, when you get asked a question, I always like to answer a question with a question. So when someone says something along the lines of, if I had a situation in California, for example, would I be covered there? Now, if they're in Florida and they're asking about California, my next question would be, I say, well, let me ask you this. Do you have something going on in California right now that you need help with? And what you're going to find is a lot of times they might say, oh yeah, the reason they're asking that question is they have a very specific reason in mind. So the more information you can find out about what that situation is, then the better you can answer that question. You also want to get statements of agreement along the way. I mentioned earlier, if you can get 5 or 6 small yeses, another yes at the end is not going to be that difficult. And so when you're talking to people about, for example, hey, have you ever signed a contract or document you kind of wish you hadn't, right? And a contract's written by an attorney. And so wouldn't it just make sense to have your own attorney review it? That makes sense, doesn't it? And so they say, yeah, it makes sense. And so it's a small statement of agreement. We cover you on a nationwide basis. So, if you do happen to get a moving traffic violation, even 1,000 miles away from home, obviously that can show up on your record. That can make your insurance rates go up and so forth. So wouldn't it be convenient to have an attorney that could represent you, even if you're 1,000 miles away from home? That would be something that would be valuable, wouldn't it? Yeah, no, definitely. Okay. So again, small statements of agreement. When you get to the end, it's going to be that much simpler. And then we talk about getting the new member enrolled. And remember, there's a lot of ways you can do that. You can get them enrolled right on the member app. So you've downloaded the member app to their phone. They can click enroll. They can get signed up, and it's going to be attributed to you. Now, make sure, in order to make sure it's attributed to you, that you have them download the app by sending them the link through your Prospect by LegalShield. So go to Prospect by LegalShield opportunity, click on Hub Sites and share links, and share the member app link. They download it from your Prospect by LegalShield link. That's going to make sure the attribution goes to you when they go ahead and enroll as a member. Or you can go right to your marketing website, right? Your login name .wearelegalshield.com. No www in front of it, just your marketing name .wearelegalshield.com, and they can go right on there and they can sign up that way. It's another way to go ahead and get them enrolled. Or a paper application. But of all three of these, to me, the paper application is the least desirable because I want that member to be effective immediately. And the way to do that is to use the member app or the marketing website, because then within 15 minutes, their membership is processed. They've got their welcome email. They can start using their membership. They're going to have everything they need digitally to go ahead and start accessing their member benefits immediately. So that makes a huge difference in the enrollment experience. Let's go ahead and get them enrolled through a member app or through the website. And then you want to ask closing questions. I get asked a lot of times, well, how do you close a membership? And I don't even like the word close because it makes it sound like I'm trying to enroll them in something that they don't need or it wouldn't be of good value for them, because the word close doesn't have a great connotation. But these are closing questions. And so when you get done with the presentation, one of the things you might say is, let me ask you this. Of everything you saw, what did you like best about what you've heard so far? What have you liked best about what you've seen so far? And let them talk about what they like best about the presentation, so you know what to zero in on at the end of the presentation. Were you more interested in the legal plan, the identity theft protection, or both? And let them zero in on what they think would be the best for them. What email address did you want me to go ahead and use to activate your member app? Did you have a personal email address, a work email address? What would be the email address you'd want to go ahead and get those activation steps to? And so they say, well, no, I think I'll use my personal email address. Great. And then as soon as they say that, just go ahead and open up your laptop or iPad, go to your website, get them enrolled, or have them go to their phone and get them enrolled, or take out an application and get them enrolled. But what email address would you like to use to activate your member app? So once they've enrolled, the last step is retain your members. Let's make sure that we've prospected, we've done a great job presenting, now we want to retain our members. And you do that by, number one, helping them download the member app. Let's make sure they have the member app on their phone before we leave. And again, you do that by sending them the link through Prospect by LegalShield and having them click on that, download the member app to their smartphone, and showing them how they can activate that so easily. Make sure you talk to them about member perks. And again, I love telling stories of member perks. I just had a situation last week, my mom's birthday, and I went right to FTD Florist, right on member perks, saved 25% off. So instead of paying $100 for this big bouquet of flowers that I sent her to Ohio, I got 25% off, saved $25, which paid for my membership for an entire month. So make sure we talk about member perks and how they can use that. Encourage usage. If you heard them say something during your presentation about something that was going on right now, encourage them to use the membership and make that phone call today. Make that phone call within the first 24 hours and encourage it usage. Make that call. We just talked about that. Let's make sure if they have something to call about, they call. Even if they don't have an urgent matter right now, you might say, listen, one of the first things you can call about is just get advice on your will. They might have asked you a question during your presentation about, what about a trust? Can you help me with a trust? Well, say, remember that question you asked me earlier about, whether or not you need a trust or whether the will would be fine? Why don't you make that your first phone call to your provider law firm? Call them up and ask them in your situation if you need a trust or if the will be sufficient for your needs. And then, of course, I mentioned this at the beginning, but I thought it should be good to also put it at the end, get referrals. Right then and there, when you've enrolled a brand new member, there's never going to be a better time for you to get referrals. So when you get them all enrolled and you've got them their package, hey, Mary, thank you so much for enrolling. I think you're just going to find this to be such a valuable benefit for you and your husband. By the way, you mentioned to me that you have a 27-year-old daughter that's living in Colorado. I would love to talk to your daughter about what it is that we do because, again, just like the different areas that you talked about, I know she's probably, signs contracts and has things. Would it be okay with you if I went ahead and contacted your daughter just to share some information about this membership? Oh, yeah, that'd be fine. I said, now, by the way, is there any, do you have any brothers or sisters in the area or anyone else that is in this area that I could easily share some information with? Be very specific in asking for referrals and try to make sure you get 3 or 4 or 5 referrals right then and there. You can always get more, but it's a great place to have a launching pad. And then again, if you've gotten several referrals, and you start getting some positive feedback from the referrals, it makes it that much easier also to talk to them about the opportunity. Hey, you gave me some referrals, your daughter's interested, your friend's interested, and I wanted to give you the opportunity because there's also tremendous opportunity, and then you can roll out the opportunity, and you already might have 2 or 3 of the members that they need to go ahead and get leveled up to the senior associate level. So a great way to go ahead and get someone involved in the opportunity, and if they don't sign up in the opportunity, to go ahead and get referrals and get new members anyway. Also, let's make sure we follow up. Follow up 30 days after you enroll them, follow up 6 months after you enroll them, follow up a year after you enroll them. If you mark down their birthday, put it in a follow-up system so you can send them a little happy birthday email or note. Just say, hey, happy birthday. Thanks for being a LegalShield member. I know it's a special day. Hope you have a great day. Just little things like that can make a big difference in your retention. And what you'll also find is the more times you follow up, the more referrals you're going to get because every time you talk to them, they might say, you know what, I'm glad you called. I actually have a friend of mine that could really use the service right now. So the better you do at following up, you're going to get more referrals. You're going to retain more members, which means higher persistency, which is good all the way around. And then, of course, when you get your pre-cancel list from LegalShield, make sure that you reach out to those members. Most of the time, what you're going to find is that they're not canceling because they were unhappy. They're just canceling because maybe their credit card changed or bank account changed, or maybe they didn't use the service and they thought, well, maybe I don't need to pay this bill because I didn't use it. It's a good opportunity for you to remind them of some of the features that they may have forgotten about. So make sure you contact your pre-cancels right away. Don't wait because the sooner you contact them, the more time they're going to have in that 45-day window to reactivate their membership to make sure they stay active as a LegalShield membership. So in review, make sure you go out and prospect everyone you can, warm market, follow your dollar, networking, get referrals, present professionally, quickly, 15 to 20 minutes, do it professionally, use the tools that LegalShield provides to you, tell lots of stories, close by asking great closing questions, and then retain your members by following up and getting referrals and constantly be staying in contact. When you enroll that person as a new member, your relationship's not over, it's just beginning so that you can have a long-term relationship with this member that's going to make sure that not only are they a member of LegalShield, but they're a happy member of LegalShield that's going to be a great advertisement for your business as they tell everyone to get in contact with you to go ahead and get enrolled themselves as a LegalShield and IDShield member. So hopefully this helped everybody, and it's a good overview of how we can go out and enroll even more members with LegalShield.